Welcome back to the channel. So glad to see you. Glad to have you. Pull up a chair. Today we are carving piece number 2 for our fantasy chess set series, and we're going to carve our rooks or castles. And they are fantasy style cobblestone parapets. I mean, they are just absolutely fantastic. I really love the way they turned out, and I think you're going to like them too. Before I get too far into it, forgive me in my voice today because I've got allergy problems, and this is the first day of the year when I start having those problems. So if I sound a little bit different today, that's what's going on. Now, also before I get too deeply in this, I want to talk to you about someone that you've probably heard mentioned before on the channel, and his name is František Bagashevich. František, take a look right here, and you can see his Instagram channel, has really great carvings. I am thoroughly inspired by his work, and this style carving here, this design for our rook, is taking inspiration from the style of things that he does on his Instagram channel. Absolutely take a look at his Instagram channel. He has so many little mini tutorials. I say mini tutorials because he's showing his carving methods for how he does it. He doesn't speak English, he's Belarusian, but he does have in the reels, if you scroll back through there, how he's doing carvings. And it's really great to look at. It's a great resource, and it's completely free. So definitely head over to Instagram, take a look at that, and you can see that these style carvings are very much in the same vein. And a lot of the carvings I do are very much in the same vein as him, because one of the reasons I got into carving was to be more like this guy. So I wanted to make sure I took a minute to mention him and the fact that I'm taking inspiration from him while doing this carving so that we can do it together today. So take a look at him, give him a like and a follow, and then let's go ahead and jump into the carving that we're doing today. All right, first off, safety first, get your carving glove on. Now we're going to carve this on a 2.5 inch tall piece of basswood. This is 2.5 inches, and it is 1 inch square. You should have expected that because we went over that in the introduction video, but these towers, pretty simple, pretty easy to do. It's just going to take time to do. So for this carving, in the upper left here, you're going to see the overlay pop up. The overlay is the carving that we're doing now. It's this particular block of wood. That's what this is showing. So what we're doing here is going to be represented right there, and it's easy to see and follow along. The only measurement we're going to worry about is coming a 1/2 inch down from the top and then transferring that line all the way around the outside of the carving. So we're going to take that 1/2 inch line and just take it all the way around, like so. I'm going to use this Lee Ferguson rough out knife. I would use my Badger State Blade detail knife, but I want to show folks that even though there's some knives that are more suited to this kind of thing, you can make use of other knives. This particular rough out knife has a very great tip for doing detail work. And when doing detail work, I might choke up on the blade like this, holding it in the flat between my index finger and my thumb so I can do little cuts with it. And it still works fantastic, just great. So it's a great knife to use for things like that. And it's a really affordable knife. So just not I'm not an affiliate of Lee Ferguson knives either. I just happen to use them and like them, and they're pretty affordable knives. So if you like those, it's another knife that you can look into. Alrighty, we're going to start this by doing stop cuts along that line. And I'm just going to work that blade back and forth to put that stop cut in and then cut right up to it. And I'm going to do this to set that line in all the way across. Just like so, just setting in that little bit of a ledge. Rock it in, and then carving right up to it. The last one here, the last section, we're just going to rock it in, and then carve right up to it. Now I'm not getting real far down there. I just want to set that line in so we have a good stopping point as we start to taper in here. Because we're going to taper in each of these sides from the bottom up to the top and try to get about a quarter of an, not a quarter of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on one side, start tapering, then move to the other side, start tapering, get the whole side, get the left side, get the right side, get the middle, and then start to carve that out. And you can see I'm starting to taper that in just slightly. The bottom, to correct, I can start to just barely take it off back here and then get more and more into it as we come down to create just that little bit of a ridge right there. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do that on all 4 sides. So I find it is easier and helps me maintain myself or get a good evenness to this. If I go from one side to the exact opposite side and do this side next, the left side, holding that where it don't catch the glove, to the right side, then do the middle, like so. And see, we've tapered that in a little bit on each side now. It's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the way it's going so far. Now I've got a little bit of saw marks still on the bottom on that side, the bottom on that side. That's okay for right now. We're going to go ahead and keep going. We'll take those off when we get to the end here. We're going to take off now the other 2 sides. We still got the front and back. We already did the left and right. So the same thing. Left side, right side, up the middle a bit more, get a little bit further back. And just try to take that off at a bit of an angle. If you find that you're not quite at the angle you want to, trim it up where you need to. So we got a little bit angled in on this side here. Now let's work on this last side right there. So same thing, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and then right up the middle. Like so, and then we'll snap it out. Like that. Okay, so now we've got that mostly tapered in. Okay, to adjust. Now we got that mostly tapered in all the way around. That's looking pretty good. So most chess pieces, and I've said this already, are crenellated towers when it comes to the rook. They've got those little parapets, whatnot at the top. And so we're going to do this, of course, knife only, and try to recreate the look of what we think a crenellated tower is going to look like. So to do that, let's first take off this last little bit of saw marks on the base. And we're going to try to barely take any wood off to remove that. Just slicing as smoothly as we can, as carefully, just to remove that little bit of saw marks. And now, here's where we get fancy, okay? Because we want to create layers of blocks on here, and drawing them all on there is going to make it a lot easier for us to do. You can attempt to freehand this if you'd like to. That's completely up to you. Before I get into that too far, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these corners and soften all of them, because cobblestone does not have hard corners normally. And we're going to try to do this as like a fantasy style castle, kind of half ruined, worn by time. It was built by the ancient peoples of God knows where during the tribulation, the trials of whatever situations they were going through, right? So we got that done. Now on these other ones, I have done the same kind of pattern, and I've gone with 6 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of cobblestone as we go up. So I'm going to try to maintain 6 rows. Now, this is a 2.5-inch carving, the 1/2 inch for the top, which leaves us 2 inches right here at the bottom. So we need to fit 6 of these in that 2 inches. I'm going to roughly say about 1/4 of an inch, draw 5 hash marks. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be lined up exactly. You can do this and make the bottom ones a little bit thicker. I like that. Make them a little bit taller. Maybe we'll have that bottom row up here a little bit, and make the other ones a little bit less. Roughly a 1/2 inch, or not, roughly a 1/2 inch, roughly 1/4 of an inch is what we're looking for. Having it a little bit off, a little bit different, is good, and it will look more natural because it's going to be cobblestone, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect. So when I do this, I'm going to make the bottom look kind of bigger with some bigger stones here. This stone is going to kind of stop right here because it's the side view of that stone right here. So it's going to kind of stop right there. And then this one's going to continue on. And this one maybe is going to stop right here as well. And maybe we're going to have one that comes over to here before we continue on over here with that stone. Go right to the middle. And well, that leaves us with one that's kind of oddly shaped, doesn't it? Well, let's go ahead and fix that. Let's go ahead and fix that. Maybe this one has a shorter stone, and this one's a shorter stone. Actually, Let's make that last stone here come around to there. We'll have 3 stones on that side. However you want to do it, okay? Drawing this is just a general rough guide. And then for our next lines, you can draw these however you want to. I try to not make them land on top of the separations beneath them. So I don't want a separation to land here. But if it does, it's okay. It's a cobblestone tower. It's not going to matter too much. So I can bring one down here. I can bring one down here. And remember, from here to here, it's the same stone. So if you have to go all the way back to here, it looks like it's a really thick stone. So I might separate that out. And not all of these stones have to come down straight. They can come down, come over a little bit more, and they come down at this sheer angle, right? And then this one comes over like so. Come down like there. And then maybe this one comes down at a bit of an angle and then comes down here, and this one comes up too, like so, right? We're doing this kind of random, however we want to. However we want to do it. They don't have to be any particular way. You know what? I might have this come down right like so. Let's not do that. Let's do it where it's right above that edge. Let's have it come up right here. And if it's made to fit in that hole, kind of, you know? And then we'll bring that around to there. And then we'll bring this over here. Continue that around. Oh, we need to keep going over here too. So drawing this out can take a while. It can take a little time. There's nothing wrong with that. Take your time. Try to keep it somewhat even if you can. If you can't, that's fine. You do what you can. Do that line. We're going to have those lines right on top of one another, and that's okay. That's just the way the pattern works out for us. Let's see here. That's kind of coming down as it goes around the back. So we fix that real fast. We don't want it coming down that much. We want to maintain that height as much as we can so it doesn't look like it's coming downhill and going back up around. So, and maybe this will help you if you go all the way around first those lines. I don't want to do that because I don't want them set too much. You know, I want them to have a little bit of give to them, to move around a little bit. And not be perfectly symmetrical. That's my goal. No perfect symmetry. No perfect symmetry. But they can be however you want them to be. There we go. I think that's going to look just fine. Okay. So it took us a while. We got those lines on there, and they're kind of randomized, and they're kind of looking terrible right now is what it looks like. It doesn't look great, and that is okay. Every one of these did not look great. They looked terrible at first, and I think they turned out wonderfully. So we're going to go ahead and do it just like we did those other ones. Here's what we're doing. You can do this entire next process with a knife. That's how I do it. That's how I prefer. Or you can do it with a V-tool. I do not think it's going to look as realistic with a V-tool. I think the knife brings out more, what's the way to put that? I think the knife just makes it more alive. It really adds some randomness to the way the lines are drawn that just absolutely comes out looking great. So let me just show you what we're talking about here. This is just going to be a lot of work, little knife work. It's actually pretty good practice if you're not accustomed to doing this kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is we're just going to be using this knife to draw lines all the way around on these. So it's got little V cuts and pop things out all the way around here. So left to right here, flip it over, left to right here, this vertical line. And I'm going to vary the depths as I go. So this one is going to be a little bit deeper. And now I got those three separated right there, those three blocks. I'm going to take off that corner right there. I'm going to deepen right there. Take off that corner as well. And then that corner. And then we're going to bring in that line. As we bring this line here up, we're going to open it up. So it's narrower on the bottom, wider on the top. We'll bring that line there across here and cut the other side of it as well. Take out that corner piece there. And now you can start to see how this is going to come alive a bit, huh? It's starting to show you a little bit. So let's take that line across. And I want to deepen that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Do this little V-cut here. And I am just going to keep doing this all the way around the carving, randomizing my depths, taking off little bits of corner as I go, widening out one side versus the other. Like there, I did that. I widened this side here out versus the other side. And I could just take that little corner out too. And that really just adds a little bit of something different to it. You know, let's say I took out that corner too. Anything that looks like too much of a sharp angle, take it out. Let's round off that side maybe here. Round off that one, you know. And maybe we want to bring that corner in a little bit more of an angle. And do things like that all the way around it. And we can round this bottom one out. So I kind of swoop in like a smile. And then I kind of follow that same kind of pattern here. Because maybe this block doesn't have a flat base. Maybe it's a bit rounded. Huh? And that looks kind of strange. Looks kind of different. And that's what we're going for. This is going to be a cobblestone parapet, a cobblestone tower for this chess piece. And we want to look natural, which means random and not the same all the way across. This is also a really great one to be wearing gloves on if you don't normally wear gloves. Because a lot of close-in work, you're doing a lot of poking more with a knife than you might otherwise do, a lot more slicing than you might otherwise do. And it's going to be real easy too as you're holding things here, if you're doing those removal of those saw marks, to catch right in here. So it's really a great one to really demonstrate how much wearing gloves can be beneficial. And if you're new here, you may find out that I didn't always wear gloves all the time, and I have since changed my tune on that. I've decided that I want to be a better example because I see too many people who are new getting themselves injured because they think, oh, Johnny's not wearing gloves, I probably don't need to either, which is absolutely not the case. Absolutely not the case. Anyone can get a cut. Even I've gotten a couple bad cuts. It doesn't matter how good you are. Time will catch up to you at some point, and you're going to cut yourself at some point. The issue is, how bad is it? And if you're wearing gloves, you can mitigate that. And if you have an accident, you might not even get hurt at all. Which, that is absolutely the best outcome. Okay, so we've about got this side done. We're doing really good. I'm just rounding off some of these corners in here. I'm deepening between some lines. I'm looking for spots that just don't look completely natural. They look like they're too strong of a corner. And I'm just doing triangle cuts, little pyramid cuts, take them out, you know. Like I come in from this direction, and this direction, and then that direction, and pop it out. And so I really start to get a crenellated kind of tower, craggy looking, you know. And we can do this as we go along here. We don't just do it all the way down. I just did it all the way down just to show you. We're going to keep going around here and just keep doing the same thing that we've done so far. And even if I get off this line, like I'm pretty far off that line, that's okay. It doesn't matter. That line is a general guide. It's not meant to hold us back. It's meant to help us out, help give us a general direction on how to do things. There we go. For those of you in the know too, you'll know that I am preparing to go to the Woodcarvers Roundup, the Renegade Roundup in Lebanon, Tennessee, here very soon. I leave Sunday the 17th, and I'll be down there in Lebanon, Tennessee for that Woodcarvers Roundup. And there's going to be a room full of people. I don't even know how many people are attending. It's going to be a massive event. Bunch of woodcarvers all in one room, carving for a week straight. And I am looking forward to it immensely. I cannot wait to go and get there. But that begs the question, what's going to happen next week for a video? Well, I'm going to do my best to record another video this week that I can have posted on Monday. So you shouldn't see any interruption in our regularly scheduled programming. You should see another video, just like I'm here. It's just that I'll actually be in Lebanon all next week doing that carvers meetup, and it should be a lot of fun. And I'll probably post a couple of vlog style shorts talking about the trip, how I'm doing, what I'm seeing, what I'm getting done. Lots of pictures to Facebook and Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Facebook and Instagram and you're curious about the journey, head over to Facebook, give me a follow there. Head over to Instagram, give me a follow there. I'll be sure to update both sources as I go through this journey. It's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. I mean, I can't even express that enough. This is that really craggy part that we decided to do. I think it's going to turn out fantastic. You can see now what we're going for, right? Absolutely going to be beautiful there. It's going to look really neat. It's going to turn out great. Because look at that. Look at that. That looks more like a natural cobblestone wall, I think, than we could have done if we just did them all straight. I mean, absolutely. Here's the other thing too. We want to make sure we get it rounded at the top a bit, which I didn't do over here, so I need to fix that. Because this part here is sitting on top of those as if they're separate blocks. So let's round off some of these corners here too. That's looking pretty good. Oh, a little bit more to clear off there. Take time, recutting as necessary. This is going to give you good practice at that. A lot of new carvers, and I was no exception to this thing, will cut something. Excuse me, allergies again. A lot of new carvers will cut something and they won't spend the time to recut it if it looks fuzzy and needs to be recut. And this is one spot where you get to practice recutting, cutting and then recutting, cutting and then recutting. And you're recutting to get those fuzzies out of there if they're still there when you get done. So as I bring this line here over, and then the other one too, see that little spot right here? Let's get it right there. You can zoom in on it maybe and see. Right there, the little fuzziness. I'm going to try to cut that out to get rid of it. Then it looks better. That's how we keep improving, is by learning to take the time to do that kind of thing consistently. And then by the time you get done, your carving looks a level above it would have looked. That's one of the ways you level up as a carver, is spending time recutting. As a writer, you might hear the term writers don't just write, writers rewrite. It's the same thing. Carvers don't just carve. They don't just cut. They recut. They double up on things, redo things as necessary, because not every time does your first cut work out perfectly. Take the time to do it again, to make it perfect. Take the time to make it better than it is that first time, because I have never made a carving where every cut was perfect the first time. It has happened a few times where I made a cut that was just perfect. That is the exception, not the rule. It does not happen all that often. So there's still a little time to round that off, and that's really going to make that corner look great. I cannot express how much taking your time on this is really going to affect. Oof, that popped out way more than I wanted it to. See that? But we're going to go with it. And it's going to look great because of it. Little accidents like that on this kind of thing are fortuitous problems. They are not an issue. This little piece is going to have a little bit more life and personality because of that accident. As we cut around, we clean up all these corners here. It's going to have a bit more depth than we would have done. So that was an accident, getting that deep, but that's okay. It's just going to come out looking just fine. And that's what the wood grain will do to you sometimes. When you're cutting, it might just split on you. There's nothing wrong with that. My allergies this week have been so terrible, but that's kind of par for the course for me this time of year. Once a year, they affect me real bad, and this is my time of the year to have them really get me. Again, with a little chip there, and we're going to work with it. You see, I just cleaned it off. I carve it up. We're going to go with it like it's meant to be, and it's just going to help our cobblestone pattern there to look a little bit more natural, a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more free. It's not going to be a problem whatsoever. You'll see, I'm taking a lot of time to clean up these corners. Taking a lot of time working my way in there, cleaning them up as best I can. Take your time as well. You don't need to rush at this. This is the time to take your time. This might be your chess piece. Might be a family heirloom kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, this chess piece might be in your family for how long? If you're making it to sell, then fantastic. You want to make sure it's the best you possibly can make it. Take the extra time. Make sure you're charging according to your time, the time that you invest in something. We're going to take that off. We're going to leave it like that. Ooh, see how that one didn't come all the way up? We're going to fix that right now. You might notice that already playing the home game. Like, Johnny, you missed a spot there. You're absolutely correct. I did. But that's one of the things I'm going to show you how to check for when we get done here. Because we got one more side to do all the way. And I think we're doing pretty good. So we're just going to keep on keeping on. And I would not cut all the way across like I just did there on every one of these, because then it will look too straight. Even if you cut it at an angle, it'll look too symmetrical and too perfect. So for most of these, you'll see that I'm doing a partial cut and then a partial cut from a different direction, because it looks better. It comes out cleaner. Even if it's not off by much, like, that's not much of a difference, but I really think it matters. I really do. There we go. Oh, this is looking fantastic. This is going to be a great piece. This is going to be a great piece. There ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Right there. A little bit more right there. Like I said, it's just little cuts. And once we get these done, we're going to go through, we're going to clean a bunch of them up, look for hard corners that we can fix. And take care of those wherever we can. Do. Oh, it's looking so great. Another thing to point out too is as you get to the bottom of this carving, something you can do is you can undercut each of these cuts here. That's a trick that was taught to me by a guy named Michael Short. Michael is a fantastic carver from my local carving club, and he taught me this trick on beards because when you do an undercut like that, it puts a little bit more shadow to the bottom of that carving. When you do an undercut like that, it puts a little bit more shadow at the bottom of that carving. It just really looks nice compared to here. You can see how flat it is. It looks flat. But here where we undercut that, it doesn't. So we're going to undercut those other spots here. And you can undercut at different levels. So there's one level. Then we go much more sheer. And we do it again. So one level is pretty up and down. Next level is more flattened out. And that kind of rounds it out a bit. You see? Make it look more like rocks. So same thing for the other ones as we go across there. And that will really help out. Okay. Now, have we got all those around there? I think we have. I think we're going to start cleaning up all the hard edges that we really want to. So I want to clean up that spot. I didn't like that the first time. That's popping out too much, and so is that. That's too square of a corner for me and my taste. Let's deepen this up right there. That's a hard edge I can get rid of. This thing's got a couple hard edges on it. Another thing you can do is take the tip of the knife and you can kind of swoop in and put a little curvature to some of these. You know, just little swooping cuts. And put a little, I don't know, what's the word? Just a little roundness to these boulders if you want to. Hard to do it there because of wood splitting. So left to right would be a little bit easier maybe. There we go. That's just going to add a little more depth, a little more character to the carving as you go around. When you're taking these hard corners off, it doesn't have to be a lot. You can just barely get in there too, if you'd like to keep it mostly hard. Another thing too is some of these rocks here on the corners have hard corners, but not all of them have to have a hard corner. So if I come in here and recut this one, be a little bit further in, that creates a little layer going on the side there. So we can do that in a couple spots over here. So like let's take this one here. Let's say he doesn't need to come out that far. Let's round that inside edge a little bit more on him. That's looking a little bit better. That opens him up a little bit more there. Take out that hard corner on that thing here. Open that up. Same for there. And where else can I do some of that? I think we're getting close to being done with this guy. On this section here, we'll work on the top next. But I definitely want to spend the time while we're doing this to get it right. And you could spend all day long correcting this. You don't want to spend all day doing it, but definitely take a little bit of time to do this. Go through it until you're certain you've gone over the whole thing and looked at it. If you're happy with each rock, move on. But don't move on till you're happy with each rock. And I think I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. Okay, now for our next portion here, we're going to do this top section. And you can take a look at the overlay over here on the left to see how we're doing on that. What we're going to do is we're going to remove all of our saw marks on the top and on the sides. So I'm going to try to just barely take it off on the bottom here. Okay, but I'm also going to take and bring in each side, slant it in a little bit. So we're going to try to put a little bit of a slant on it, about like so. So you can see that angle, right? Not much. I'll show you here. Take it off mostly on the top first, and then try to smooth it out about that much of an angle. Not much. I got that side. I'm going to do this side as well. I'm going to try to take those saw marks off at the bottom first. Get all of that. And then start to fold that in. And that's about the right angle. That's about even. Maybe a little bit more on that side to make it even. Yeah. Okay, front and back now. Like so. And is that? It's a little bit of an angle. Not much. And the other side. So, have we got that done? I believe that we do. We've got just a slight angle all the way around. Okay, next, we're going to do some end grain carving. This can be hard for folks because maybe their knife isn't sharp enough. If it looks like what I'm carving is a lot easier for me than it is for you, I assure you, it is not because my wood is softer, it is because my knife is sharper. If you're not good at sharpening your knife, you need to spend time getting that skill developed, because it is absolutely beneficial as a wood carver to know how to keep your knife properly maintained. I see a lot of people often saying that a strop alone is enough. That is absolutely, in my opinion, terribly, terribly wrong. I have spoken to way too many really great carvers who have told me that they sharpen their tools and they don't just strop. So there's that. All right, so I've cleaned off the saw marks off the top of this. Just smooth it out a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to draw a box on here. I'm going to come in about 1/4 of an inch on each side. And just carve out a little box. A little indentation on the top of our rook, okay? It's not going to be that hard to do. We're going to actually make this pretty easy. Little stop cuts along each side. And because we're coming on the end grain, this knife is going to go in real easy when we're doing our slicing maneuver like this, okay? It's not going to be hard to get depth. Let me show you this last one, how much depth I'm getting here. So you can see where the knife is right there. I'm going to pinch it. That's how much depth I'm getting. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Now that I've got that line drawn out all the way around there, I'm going to try to barely take anything off, just a little bit. And you hear that click? That's when I got to the end and I can slice it out, okay? It wasn't quite all the way there. There it was. Make sure this finger here is out of the way. You can see I've got it under there. So if I'm carving here and it breaks free, it's going to go past the finger. Knife control is the order of the day. Wearing gloves, it's great, but gloves on top of good, proper knife control can't be beat. Proper knife control is what's going to keep you safe all the time. So now that I've got the first round all the way out, I'm going to go a little bit deeper and just keep taking stuff out. As you can see, I'm doing this at an angle here, you know, so I can't get that middle as thoroughly as I might want to. What I'm doing is I'm getting a little bit deeper on each side as I go around. And last little section there. Okay, now I'm going to take the knife blade and I'm going to choke up on it a bit. You putting that spine of that blade right there between, the spine of that blade right there between my knuckle. Fold the knife hand around it like that. And get that tip in there to clean out that inside edge here. There's a good angle. I can just show you on the camera like this. Cleaning out that inside edge. Just like so. Okay. That's why I talk about recutting. If you need to recut something, take the time to do it. Try to get it done right. To where you're satisfied with it, and you're happy with it. I don't want to make it perfect, but I want to get it well. There we go. I like it. I like it. Okay. So now we got that done. We have one last thing to do, and I'm going to put little hash marks for our parapets right there all the way across the top. What we're going to do is we're going to do little V cuts right here at the corner of that spot in the inside right there, that corner. That's where we're going to do this at, okay? So I'm going to come in at a 45-degree angle and try to bring the line of this all the way down here. So the back of the blade, or the middle section of the blade, is going to be hitting down there deeper as I do this. So I'm not going in too deep at the top, but I'm making sure that it's kind of flattened in, as you can see. So I get a nice deep, as in vertically deep, but not horizontally deep V cut. Same thing over here. I go down and you can see the bottom of this blade there is coming down almost to the bottom of the parapet here. And do the same thing. Transfer those around, like so. And again. And again. Another side. This is the last side to do. That was not quite deep enough, so we'll go a little bit deeper. And then right here as well. Now we're going to do, just going to undercut the bottom. Same thing here. Overcut again. Overcut. Overcut. Kind of opening those parapets up with V cuts. There we go. I think that's turned out pretty well. Now, it's hard to get ingrain to look perfect that first time, but after we wash this carving, you'll be amazed at how great that looks. Those hard edges here, I'm going to take those hard edges off. Just nice and gentle along the outer edges there. And then we've got a really rough side here underneath the edge of this carving. And so I'm going to get in there with a knife tip and just ever so gently clean that up. Like so. And you don't have to do this. This is again that recut. Cut and then recut. This will help that make this carving just a little bit better. If we can get rid of all those sharp cuts from where our stop cuts were hitting it. It doesn't take long to do. It's just one of those things that will make this carving look at a higher level than it really is. Because it was a simple carving. Nothing complicated, nothing hard. Take off these little hard corners back here. Simple little thing. And we are absolutely done with it. That is number 4 for our little rooks. And they'll be set fantastic. So I'm going to take this guy over to the sink. And I cannot express how important it is to do this because it really helps heal the carving. Like, take a good look at this top section here, okay? See how torn up it looks, okay? Let me recut this section right here. Just a little bit. But you're seeing how it looks right now, okay? I'm not gonna do any more cuts. That knife, you can see where it's at, okay? So when you come back here, you're gonna see that knife hasn't moved. So in 3, 2, 1, and so there we go, all finished up. Take a look at the top of that carving now. No more cutting, that was just scrubbing. And you can see it looks a whole lot better. I mean, really, that water really makes it look buttery smooth. Absolutely fantastic. And it heals all those superfluous cuts that you might have had in here that didn't look good, right? Gets rid of all those fuzzies and really makes the carving pop. And you can see like these ones were washed and then they've dried up. So I washed these earlier today when I did these carvings and they've since dried, but still you can see they look far better than this one did prior to washing because it stays. It still looks better. It still looks pretty good. The tops all the way around. Oh, I didn't do the cutting, undercutting on these two. I need to fix those two. Let's set those aside. But it turned out quite well. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. And that's all I got for you today, folks. I think that everything turned out just fine. Our little carvings here, our rooks turned out absolutely fantastic. They're going to be perfect and they're going to work out really well. And you can see them right here with the whole set, looking absolutely fantastic, looking perfect. We're making our way. We're making progress on a whole chess set. We're almost there. And you can see I've got almost all of the pawns done, but not quite all of them. I've got a couple more pawns to carve. But yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to have a whole chess set done, and we're doing it as a series, and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be wonderful. I really appreciate you guys watching the end of the video. Like the video for me. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I really appreciate it. Head over to Instagram and Facebook. Give me a follow over there. If you like this stylish shirt I'm wearing, time spent carving is never wasted. I love this kind of thing. I've got this shirt available over on the website. If you'd like to do that, the links are in my bio. Outside of that, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Recently, someone asked for a better view of my carving area, so I wanted to include that in the end of this video here. So pardon me for the shaky camera, right? My sharpening station is right here for keeping everything sharp and looking the way it needs to, or for carving the way it needs to. I have bookcases right here above me. I have lights for YouTube that are always bright. And then my carving mess is always there outside of the camera angle as I'm carving things. It is a hot mess and it's always off to the side where no one ever sees it. There's my carving station. And then what we have here is my computer monitor. And I've got an export cable going from the camera up to the monitor so I can see exactly what I'm carving right there. And this light here is always directly above what I'm carving so you can see it. And I've got another carving light up here coming down on me, giving me a good view of everything I got going on. Appreciate you guys. Bye.